Welcome back to the first day of the iBUYPOWER Cup. I have the third team who have advanced to the semifinals, and they're going to play CLG tomorrow. I managed to get Nitro and Hiko, so it's going to be a duet per se. So the first question is I'll ask to you. The games have been really close today. Is there any reason for that? I mean, is it like that you guys can't close out, or did each game have its own character, sort of?
I think against complexity, we started off really slow. Dust 2, we tried to play to kind of throw those guys for a loop. I think those guys were really preparing for us to play Cobble, and we picked Dust 2 instead, and they were more prepared than we were. I saw a tweet by Jason Lake like "Merry Christmas, Liquid," and that's pretty much what it was. They were up. They had so many close rounds where we won that we probably shouldn't have won, and obviously it wasn't necessarily a closing problem against complexity. We just started slow, and we ended up grinding back, winning in overtime. Then Cloud9 was probably a closing problem. We started really good. We had what were we up, 10-3 or something like that, something a lot. And then our CT side, we ran into a couple problems. We had the money system on our side for a bit, and then we lost a couple rounds that we shouldn't have lost. And we let them back in, but we were able to close it at the end before we had to take it to overtime. So I'm happy about that, if nothing else.
I didn't really get to see the stats, but I'm just wondering, Nitro, if you were successfully fulfilling your role today in entry fragging and rifling in general. What can you say about that?
I was just playing a lot more confident against Cloud9. We just played them recently online, so I know exactly how they play and where they were playing. So obviously, it was just confidence today for me.
Okay, so I wanted to briefly mention Cevo, not too much. What was up with that?
Oh, there's a lot of problems. I think we were very overconfident going in. I think we expected Dignitas to just be a walk in the park. We expected, even after we lost to Dignitas, we expected Conquest to just be okay, we played these guys a bunch, we think we're better than them, we're going to just run them over. Good maps for us against both teams as well. Train, maybe not. Cobble, we should have beat Cobble, I think, against both the teams. But I think everyone just wasn't really hitting their shots. Everyone wasn't necessarily confident. We tried to change some things before Cevo, between the major and Cevo. It didn't really work out very well. And we were trying James, our coach, in a different position. We were trying to use him not calling as much in game and doing stuff, more at the pause and out of game stuff. So obviously that didn't work very well. It hurt very badly. I think I left Cevo that same day. I was ashamed. I think everyone felt terrible, and I think it just came down to also just confidence. We weren't, we lost a couple big rounds, and then everyone just kind of lost their confidence.
Yeah, I saw that you dipped. So about James, actually, I see that he's not here. Who's standing behind you guys as of right now for these games?
His name is Kieran. He's just an analyst. He pretty much makes Google documents for us and just helps out with a bunch of statistics and.
So something that's interesting is I don't think many teams actually have that. I know it's big in League of Legends, at least in the US, but Kieran literally is our stats guy. He goes through all the stats, HLTV, over all the games that we've played against other teams, all of their games, and he works on what they're going to veto, what map we're going to play, what pistol round they're going to do. I think he's very, very useful for us. I think it takes a lot away from James. He's able to focus more on the strategy part, and Kieran worries all about the statistics behind everything.
Well, with the two games today, though, was Adren doing most of the calling, or was Kieran contributing a lot?
It was 100% Adren. So if we have any questions of past demos that maybe we didn't catch in the past that we watched, we can just ask him, and he's our sixth man pretty much at that point. He just helps out a lot.
Okay, so I asked this to every NA team. It's going to be kind of a nutty November. So then there's RGN, and then there's San Jose. I know they're all close, but do you think you guys are at risk of burnout?
I think that's maybe something you can ask in a couple weeks. I don't think, for the next week up until IEM, I don't think that's going to be burnout. I know we have a couple days off in between RGN and IEM if we actually qualify.
Oh, right. I forgot to mention they weren't invited, but they have a high chance of qualifying.
Yeah, I think if we beat CLG tomorrow, we qualify. So we need to be careful. It doesn't even stop at IEM. We qualified for Face It, so we get home from IEM. Literally the next day we go to Sweden for Face It. Then we get back for a week and we come back to California again for ESCA. So probably by the end we'll be very burned out. Probably, we'll have a month off, so we'll be able to like regather our thoughts and everything. So I think the main goal from now until then is just try not to burn out. Try to stay in it. Try not to just get too focused with it, and hopefully by the end we're not too terribly burned out.
Oh yeah, I'll ask you guys that then. With the semifinal tomorrow against CLG, is there anything you're particularly going to do Nitro, like in your play style? I know this is such like a vague question, but is there anything that you have in mind to do?
Just like I did today, just play super confident, just like we do online. LAN players. Oh, that's key. Yeah, confidence.
Yeah, actually, are you guys starting to sort of like turn that into a meme within your own camp? The whole online LAN thing.
I think the Brazilian community out there, I love you guys, but you guys hate us. I understand. They call us online quid, pronet, all the funny things they come up with. I know they hate us. It's fine. We're out here to prove that we can actually do good on LAN, and I think we're on the way to doing that.
Okay, that wraps it up sort of with Liquid. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out Nitro. It's hard to get you. So we're gonna get the 4th semifinalist as well today, and that'll wrap up our coverage for the day. But just keep following our Twitter for score updates, and yeah, we'll be back tomorrow to cover day 2.
Shoutouts?
He says shoutouts. I've been kind of avoiding them recently, but okay, let's go shoutouts.
Shoutouts.
Split it up, actually.
All right, I'll let Nitro do all the Liquid ones. I'll give a shout out to my Hiko homies. I know you guys are out there. Thank you guys for the support. Also, most important one, shout out to my mom. She'll be watching this. Mom, this one's for you.
Shout out to G2A, HEC, Namecheap, Alienware, Razor, Quest, Hyper. Shout out to anyone watching me, and shout out to my girlfriend. Love you.
All right, so that's all. Shout out to my mom, but she probably won't see this.